Hello everyone, today I'm working on these two SD40s. I'm going to be focusing on one because the other one's going to be exactly the same. But I'm doing them two at a time just because I just happen to have all my tools and my paint out at the same time. So this is going to save me a little bit of work. So both of them, they're in pretty good shape. All the handrails are there. They need the couplers, but that's no big deal. They also have all the windows in. This one's missing the horn. The other one has its horn. So they're in pretty good shape, except that somebody worked very hard to remove the dynamic brake here. And they used to be painted CN, as you can see by the walkways and the battery box here. This is actually the hardest paint. The hardest part of this paint job is to make this white stripe. So that the other guy didn't touch it. So I won't have to do anything for that. I'm going to repaint them back to CN because that's something that I like. I like the CN engines. So let's get started. The first thing I need to do is to remove the shell. You can use the box or you can pry under here. So I need to take it apart to paint it. And these, as you can see, they're pretty easy to come out. I love Kato. I love Kato. I can't get enough of them. And I want to take a look at this this drive system. Probably is going to be in really good shape. It looks like actually these have never been run. So I'm very hopeful that these will run great. So I'll need to take the shell apart. So I'll be spending most of my energy on the shell. So the shell, I'm going to have to break it into two parts. The top and the bottom parts. So the bottom part doesn't need any work. So as they say, that was easy. And then I'll work on the top part. It'll be the most work that I do here. So as you remove this, make sure that your handrails don't get broken. Take your time. So for the bottom part, I will also remove the handrails from the sill. You wouldn't really need to do it, but I'm gonna go clean this up. I'll put it in the run it with my toothbrush under some water under my tap. So I'm just taking it apart in order to clean it. Same with this. There's no work necessary on that, but I'll have to put the couplers before I put everything back together. So the guy left me the two coupler retainers, so I'm gonna save those. And I put all my little parts in my box so I can go find them when I need them. That looks like the appropriate retainer for this engine, which is also good news. And then, since I'm painting this, I'm going to have to remove the windows. So the first window to come out is the front one. So I just push in the windows, nice and clear. That's also good news. And then the side ones, once you get them going, they're pretty easy. So I'll do the same thing. I'll push, but very gently so I don't mark it. Once you got one out, they just come right out. Let's take a look at them. They look pretty clean also. Yes, they look pretty clean. We'll just do the other side. And it also looks pretty clean, so that's all good news. So this is what I'm going to be working on, painting the cab. I have to repaint the cab and I have to repaint the body, which CN Surprisingly, it's actually really easy to work on. So now the first part of this is cleaning everything. So everything is clean now. I'm gonna wait for this to dry before I start painting. But it looks pretty good. So I'm painting this for CN. So I'm gonna be wanting to start with the red first. Now for the CN, I like to go with just a regular paintbrush. And then I start with inside the windows, and it ends up that I'm able to get the line between the red and the black just right without taping, just freehand. And that works out really great for me. So I do it with just a regular paintbrush. So I'm gonna do the rest of it off camera, because that might get a little bit boring. So far I've done the cab and the front of the nose. Now I'm gonna work on the back here. It's the same thing. For some reason I can do a straight line with my brush, and that actually looks really great. There's nothing more that you need to do. So I'm gonna let the red dry, and then tomorrow I'll work on the black paint. Now my red has dried. I'm going to be working on the black part now. So what I'm going to be painting, I am going to be careful not to get too much paint on the vents and also on the fans here. I'm going to try to keep these as paint free as possible. So I'll be starting by the side. My red is very dry. It's also very shiny. That's okay. I'm going to put some dull coat on that a little bit later on. So it's the same thing. I'm going to be painting the black very carefully. And I'll be doing the rest of this off camera, so it doesn't get too boring for you. So this is what it looks like after. So I'm trying to avoid putting paint over the intakes and also the fans if I can. So there'll be dull coat on this, of course, and there'll also be some decals before. But for some magical reason, I can get the demarcation between the red and the black very straight with just my paintbrush. So this turned out very good. Now I'm starting to put on my decals. This turned out very well, my paint. I'm going to show you one of the decal sets that I use. It's a micro scale. And this set can be used for freight cars or engines. Let me just open it up. So basically it's just CN multi-marks, and I've used them many times, and on freight cars and engines, and they go a long way. It's a super nice set to get. So we're getting to the easy part of this, which is putting on the decals. And they just go under the dynamic brake. Just under, like so. Well, now that wasn't so bad, now was it? Now I'm getting ready to put some dull coat on, and the reason why I'm putting dull coat on the bottom is because it will harmonize the way the light reflects off of them, so it will help me to match the top and the bottom better. So my My dull coat did its job. It harmonized everything. Now I need to put my windows back on, the handrails, and also I have to put couplers back on. So I like to do the couplers with only the sill in my hands. It's a lot easier to reach in there and get stuff done that way. And I'll reuse these retainers that were given to me with the engine. I find that that does a fine job of that. And I'll do the other side here. And you just slide that in. There, that wasn't so bad now, was it? So I put my handrails back on and my windows. So don't forget to put your horn also. Basically, I would be done now, except that actually I tried the drive system on my truck and it runs great. But I still want to get in there and clean it up, even though it doesn't need it. Since I have it in my hands, I might as well. I would put all these parts in my box usually, but this is not going to be long, so I won't worry about that too much. So as soon as you remove the gas tank, then the two contact strips will become free, so they'll probably just fall out. And I'll drop my trucks. Just put my screwdriver between the two frames halves, and that will drop that and the contact strips. And then I'm gonna open up the two frame halves to reveal the motor, which it doesn't need too much. Everything's in great shape and clean. It's just me, I like to have it extremely clean. So I'm just gonna put a little drop of lube on my worm gears. One drop is all you need. And that's it. So I'll be working on my trucks. They don't need much help, but since I have them in my hands there, I'm still going to clean everything up. And because I can see the side frames and I can see the gas tank, they will go under my tap with some dish soap and my toothbrush. Beautiful. That looks kind of messy, doesn't it? But don't worry, I'll have it back together in no time. I'm just going to take a second to clean my wheels with my rag. I wouldn't really need to, but it's just me. I want my engines to be perfect. So now I'm going to put the truck back together. There's no particular order for this, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. Just make sure the end of the axles are in your bearing caps. You can test it out as you go. And I'll put the side frames back on. So I cheated a little bit. I did the other side off camera. So this one, the arrow points that way. And the other guy, the arrow points the other way. So I'm going to line these up with my frame. Make sure you have your isolators there. I'll bring this together slowly, just to make sure that everything's exactly where it should be. Now I still have enough slack so that I can bring my my trucks back on. And my other side should give me enough slack to bring it in without forcing it in. There we go. Now I'll just start my retaining screw. I'll just start them because I'm going to get my contact strips in there. Contact strips. So these go over and under. These are unmolested as they came from the factory. So just over this pin and under this pin. There. So before you put your gas tank, just make sure you got everything lined up properly. It's worth taking the time. So once you got everything lined up properly, you can put your gas tank. The filler hole goes towards the front of the cab. And then my two lights. Kato, these are directional lighting. Really cool stuff. It's compact and effective, and it looks so good. There. And then I'm going to do the other side off camera. And now all that's left to do is put the shells back on their drive, which that should go pretty easy. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.